Today I'm going to talk about the direction in which you pop your skateboard and the effect that it might have on popped ollie tricks like the ollie, kickflip, heel flip, frontside and backside 180s, etc. But I need to warm up first. Oh, today might not be a good day to talk about this because I'm weak, but I think it's really important, and I do have some good clips from the other day that I can share to hopefully illustrate this point. But basically, I have always tried to pop straight down whenever I do any kind of ollie-based trick. And that's because I know that you pop down, and then wherever your foot comes up onto the board, that's where I can create my leverage, my lever point to make the back trucks come up into the air. And the direction, whether you pop straight down, or whether you pop out in front of you, even whether you pop inwards, all will have some kind of effect on the board. Now, I have always popped straight down, and I've also recommended doing this in some of my tutorials. And the reason for that is that despite some skaters recommending that you pop back at an angle when doing something like an ollie, I have only ever had problems with that. And I can show you really easily what the problem is. It's the board shooting out from under me. And the big problem there is actually that whenever I tried, or I actually was doing this accidentally in the beginning, which is why I just immediately swore off all directional popping and went to pop straight down, is because I would accidentally pop backwards for an ollie or a kickflip, and I would miss my pop. The board would just roll back and my front foot would slide off the nose. And this happened to me a lot. However, when I popped straight down, I didn't have that problem, right? Because my tail made contact with the ground, it jumped up, and I could push forward. However, recently, I've run into a new problem. This problem is specific to kickflips and also sneaking into my ollies. And it's that when I pop, my front foot is losing its connection with the board. Because I'm popping straight down, the board comes up, but my front foot also comes in. And I lose this contact, and what ends up happening is the board either misses my front foot altogether and comes up to hit me in the leg, or I end up losing contact and then smacking the nose instead. And it just doesn't make for a nice, comfortable ollie or kickflip. And it also tends to turn the board as well, I've noticed. If your foot comes off it and then you hit it again, you're more likely to smack it out of the way or in a direction you don't want it to go in. So I started thinking to myself, what could I do to address this problem? And immediately I thought of popping in a direction, because if I pop directionally, which is not straight down but a little bit to the back, then the board is going to pop into my foot, and I'll reduce the chances of my foot coming off of the skateboard. Even if it does come off the skateboard should be traveling backwards to make contact with it. For the last couple times I've skated, I did try to pop at a very slight angle back, and it worked really well. So that's actually how I got all those pretty nice kickflips the other day. It was switching from popping straight down to trying to pop backwards at a very slight angle. But the important thing is that your tail or nose has to make contact with the ground, because if you miss it, the board will just fly out behind you. And so this technique I started doing fakie and nollie because you have to do it. If you want to do anything fakie or nollie, you have to pop out at an angle. And that's because if you pop straight down, your body will move forward and the board will stay where it is. However, This is also kind of the reason that nollie and fakie tricks are sometimes easier, because you pop the board forward, and as the nose comes up, it makes contact with your foot and starts to level out, right? Because there's that momentum. You threw the board forward, it catches on this front foot, and it comes up. And that's why sometimes leveling out fakie flips or fakie ollies, even nollies, can be a lot easier. Or at least it can feel easier because you don't have to do as much with your front foot. So the benefits to popping at an angle is exactly what I just mentioned with the fakie ollies. You pop back just a little bit and that momentum catches this front foot. So it's going to want to tip up a little bit anyways. And then when you push it forward, you can get that nice level or even tweak down. So that's the benefit to this. But like I said, the tough part is that if you miss that pop, the board will probably shoot out from underneath you. So I'm really not sure if I would recommend to beginners to practice popping straight down or popping out at an angle. I know that I found it a lot easier to pop straight down, and then now it's been a lot easier to adjust that angle later on. I don't know if I would have been good enough in the beginning to get that subtle difference. Because first of all, I think that when we do pop down, because our foot's often angled on the tail, it's really easy to put in that slightly backwards pop anyways. I do think it's something important that we can keep in mind. So if you get that separation, or if you want to have kind of improve your flow, improve the look of your ollie, then experimenting with small ollies or small kick flips, whatever popped trick you want, trying to get them at a slight angle might be something worth looking into. I don't know if I would have been good enough back when I started learning ollies to do this intentionally, but I can do them now, and I've found it to make my ollies and my kickflips look a lot better. So I wanted to bring it up, especially since I myself have recommended on this channel that people pop straight down as opposed to popping backwards. So I wanted to make this video to kind of address that, address why I originally thought that was a good idea, how my opinions are slightly changing, and then also just the nuance of our skateboarding, right? Because you can adjust the angle and the strength and all of those things. Sorry, don't mean to interrupt you. No, not at all. We met last year, right?